There are two kinds of advisors, and there are roles for both. One is an advisor that can tell you what your options are, what you could do, and in many cases, even what you should do. But at the end of the day, this will leave the client to close the deal on their own. And then there's another kind of advisor that can step in and either by whispering in the client's ear, kind of like a consigliere, or by riding shotgun with the client at the negotiating table, or even stepping in front of the client. And I've done all three of these roles, but stepping in front of the client and assuming the negotiation role for them and helping them get a deal done. And what that means is that the advisor is willing to step in front of the client and live in their zone of discomfort, because negotiating a deal is a very uncomfortable place to be. And that particular advisor will either sit in the zone of discomfort along with the client and make it more comfortable for the client just because discomfort was company, or take on that discomfort for themselves and figure out how to get that deal done, which means listening to what the seller wants to do, listening to what their objectives are, listening to what their needs are, and then trying to figure out a way that you can meet the seller's objectives if there's a way to do that. Sometimes there isn't. And so moving from advice like, well, here's how to optimally structure the deal for your taxes, or here's the valuation, here's how much you should pay, that's one set of advisors, to a different role, which is, okay, I know ideally what needs to be done, but the seller has a say in the conversation too, right? They're not actually going to roll over and accept all of our terms unless we have extraordinary leverage. So how do we know what we can give up in order to get the seller to give up what we need and find that common ground? And not every advisor is comfortable doing that because it puts you in a very high leverage, high profile position. And then if the deal goes wrong, that person has to accept accountability and responsibility. They can't say, well, I just told you what you could do, but you did it. Somebody who steps in that role has to be willing to say, this deal didn't work out and I was not able to get it done. And not everybody necessarily wants to do that. Not everybody is built to do that. Fortunately, I am, because I've been in that space a lot. So, I know what I'm doing. And both advisors, I think, have a role. I think both advisors have a role to play. But if I'm being honest about it, I think the second role, which is the deal maker, probably is a harder role to find.